Do you need more top-down Zelda action on your Switch? I might just have the game for you. RackNRuin was released in 2015 on the PS4 and other platforms, but is available on the Nintendo Switch eShop today. Is it worth picking up? Let's get into it right now. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Thank you so much for stopping in. If you would, please leave a like on this video and make sure you get subscribed. And without any further delay, let's jump right in. RackNRuin is definitely 100% inspired by top-down Zelda games. That's very apparent as soon as you start the game up, but I would not consider this a clone. They put an entirely different spin on the gameplay by making it a twin-stick shooter. Well, sort of. So you play in the game as a character named Rack. He's a tiny little demon who pretty much goes from planet to planet just blowing them up. And I have to admit, I really did like him as a character. His humor in the dialogue parts actually made me laugh out loud a few times, and I think it gives the game, honestly, a lot more character. He's a pretty funny little dude. And honestly, it's kind of nice to play as the villain in a game instead of the hero for once. Most of his dialogue is just him telling people super sarcastically how they're gonna die or something terrible that he's gonna do to them or their planet. But the way it's done is really funny. And I mean, he is a demon after all. So anyway, you're working for another demon overlord named Ruin. Hence the name, RackNRuin. You got it. And he is not happy with you because you keep blowing up all these planets and you don't bring him any minions back to do his bidding. So he ends up sending you to the next planet you go to, which is where you end up in the game, and he tells you, don't blow this one up or he's gonna send you to the abyss for all eternity. That sounds awful. Now, to be 100% honest, the first hour of this game, I didn't think I was gonna finish it. It was dragging along way too much with way too much dialogue, I thought, which some of it was funny, but it was just way too much in the beginning, in my opinion. But that did change once I got to the first dungeon. That's really where my attitude towards this game changed a lot, and I wanna start off and talk about what I like the most in this game, and that's definitely the puzzles. Now, obviously being a Zelda-like game, you know there's gonna be some type of puzzle element in it, and honestly, I think it was done exceptional in this game. I really enjoyed the puzzles. Now they start out fairly simple, but as you progress in the game, they get more difficult, and actually, at one point in one of the dungeons, I was stuck for almost 40 minutes trying to figure out where I was supposed to go next and what I was supposed to do. Another really good thing about them is not a ton of them repeat. A few things here and there had elements of stuff I had to figure out earlier, but all in all, they kept it pretty fresh throughout the entirety of the game, which actually only took me about 7 or 8 hours, so yeah, I probably would have been pretty disappointed if I was doing the same types of puzzles the entire game for that short amount of time. As for the dungeons themselves, they're a mixed bag. Some of them are alright, some of them were pretty good, but the big problem I had with them, I think, is they were really short. A lot of them ended up being like one big main puzzle that you had to figure out once you got to a certain point, which I did like, and it was all different. But I wish they would have kind of continued with more dungeon after those big puzzles, or maybe before, you know, just anything to just make the dungeons last a little bit longer. So next I want to touch on the combat a little bit. In this department, it's kind of repetitive, but in all honesty, I really enjoyed the way it's done. So try to imagine a top-down shooter with the targeting mechanic of like a 3D Zelda. That's honestly the best way I know how to explain it, but they added some other stuff in with that makes it really, really fun to play. So a lot of times when you meet an enemy, they come at you in hordes, and some of them carry swords, some shoot orbs, some shoot lasers, and the real fun of this is trying to avoid all that stuff while shooting and trying to progress through the level. So essentially being able to target like that lets you worry more about all the stuff flying at you and not so much having to aim all the time. Which I've heard some people say makes it too easy, but in my opinion, it makes it a whole lot of fun. So usually what it will do is target the nearest enemy to you, but you can actually let off the button and press it back and it will go to the next closest to you, and it will actually keep cycling through different enemies if you want to target somewhere different. The controls, in my opinion, were a little bit strange, and I'll show you what I mean, but I feel like they kind of should have been the opposite of the way they were set up. So you use the ZR button to toggle through your 4 main weapons, and you use the A button to fire those weapons. Then for your spells and bombs, boomerangs, all the other stuff that you have, You fire those with B, and you actually can toggle through all that with the L and R button. Well, not all of it, and let me explain that a little bit. There's actually a full menu of everything that you can get when you press X. But at the bottom of the screen, there's actually a quick menu, and that's actually what you can toggle through. You can pull things from the main menu down to the quick menu as you want, and I like that setup, but honestly at first I could not even figure out how to get the stuff from the main menu down to the quick menu. It's Y, by the way, just so you know. It's pretty simple. Anyway, that doesn't matter. My ideal control setup probably would have been firing with ZR and ZL for the two main weapons, and then maybe toggle through them with A and B or something like that, but I really would have liked the weapons to be fired with the trigger buttons. But like I said, it really wasn't a huge deal, and I got used to it pretty quick. Overall, I think the game graphically is fine. There's not a whole lot going on in that department, so it's really not putting any stress on the system at all. In my playthrough, I didn't experience any frame rate issues, and it looks pretty crisp in both handheld and docked mode. As far as the art style goes, I'm still undecided on how I feel about that. It kind of reminds me of like watercolors or something like that, or some type of painting. I don't know. It grew on me a little bit as I played through it, but I mean, it's not terrible. It's not my favorite. I don't know. It's fine. Not my favorite, but it's fine. Another thing that really stood out to me in this game for good and bad reasons are the boss fights. While I thought the bosses visually looked really good, and I liked what they did with them, they were just a little bit too easy. To be honest, I had trouble with some of the hordes a lot more than I had trouble with some of the boss. Not terrible, but a tad easy. I mean, as long as you're dodging the bullets, you can pretty much just sit back and fire and just do that the entire time you're playing the boss. Now, that's not every single boss, but I will say it is for the majority of them. Now, on the other hand, the music for the boss fights was absolutely awesome. It was probably one of my favorite parts of the game. And for that matter, all of the music and the sound design in this game, I thought was done really, really well. Especially for a $10 game. I mean, that's something I noticed right away. Now, a few things I do have to mention that took this game down a notch or two in my book was the map system. The map system is by far the most annoying half-ass thing in the game. It's pretty bad. So the first and biggest problem with the map system is it doesn't give you the actual location of where you are. It just gives you a general area, and that area is pretty big. So it makes it almost impossible to figure out where you are and where you're going, especially if you've never been in that area before. Now, on top of that, you also cannot zoom in on any part of the map. The only thing you get is the one world view, which is awful, especially in handheld mode. So to navigate in any way using the map, you kind of have to look around and see what's around you, then go to the map, try to find that on the map, and it's so small, you literally have to just, especially in handheld mode, it's really, really bad in handheld mode. It's just awful. It's so much of a pain that it drove me nuts. Which really sucks because for the most part, I thought this game was pretty good. Other than the map issue, I enjoyed my playthrough of this game, and if there was a sequel, I'd probably play it. Let's get this 100% straight though. Is this as good as any Zelda game or even close? No, not at all. Is it fun and worth $10? In my opinion, yes. I think it's worth the money. I think this game is appropriately priced, and I also think that everything you see in the eShop, including the trailer, is a very good representation of what you actually get in the game. So when I actually reached out to get a review code for this game, I looked up a little bit of stuff online just to kind of see what I was getting into, and I actually saw someone call this game shovelware, which is just not true. I think this game is well worth the price, especially if you think about it like this. It took me about 7.5 to 8 hours to beat the story, and I didn't go through and get all the keys and all the other stuff that there was, the extra stuff, you know what I mean? I would say there's probably another 2 to 3 hours of gameplay that I could go back and go through right now. So you're looking at like 10 to 11 hours of gameplay for $10. And it's fun. It's a fun game to play. And you know, some people might think this game is a little easy, but that's okay because there's a hard mode. You can just go straight to that. Now, obviously, everyone's gonna have their opinion, and I want to hear yours. Leave those comments below and let me know if you've played the game, and if you have, did you like it? Did you hate it? Or maybe if you're looking for something quick to play through this weekend and you do plan on picking this up. Let me know down below. Also, big shout out to the makers of the game for sending the review copy over for me to check out early for you guys. I truly do appreciate it, so thank you again very, very much. But that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like on this video. Make sure you get subscribed, and we will see you in the next one.